Okay, welcome to Ceremony is Everything. This week, first ever cricketer on the show, and we've got the wonderful speedster Lockie Ferguson. Lockie, good to see you, mate.
Cheers, man. Great to be here.
So Lockie, we go back a little bit, don't we?
Yeah, we do go back a little bit, mate. Jeez, a while.
So for those who don't know, I think the first time, let me start by introducing some evidence, actually, of how far we go back. So, you seen this?
You've got the actual photo of it. Yeah, man, that's sick.
And yeah, so here for those who can't see, this is Lockie here. That's me playing for the Black Caps, and that's Lockie. You'll notice the wristbands.
Double
wristbands, double thumbs up, and even a very early Lockie Ferguson signature on the back.
No way, that's crazy.
And I must have done the year before as well, because helping us again this season. So I don't know, I forget.
I remember it. And
yeah.
I was actually just down at Parnell the other week, and I remember that area vividly, the Bloodworth Park. So thanks for coming down, man. It was a big part of our development.
Well, I thought just to celebrate,
Yeah, cheers.
couple of wristbands for the fast bowling clubs.
Get those
just to break the ice. So yeah,
break them out.
We thought black was given where you've gone with your career. We thought black was appropriate.
Perfect. All right. Might need them if the questions are too tough.
Yeah. So normally, Lockie, we avoid cricketers with ceremonies and everything, but mainly because most cricketers are basket cases, but you seem pretty sane and pretty well balanced. So what gives?
Wow, hard-hitting question straight away. I don't know. I think probably pretty humble beginnings from the most part, and then as you know, being a fast bowler, you get humbled a lot. So I think I've had a whole career of that happening to me over and over and setbacks, and so I suppose that's part of the personality. But yeah, I know there's a few basket cases, but I think mostly we're pretty good.
Bowlers generally a little more sane than the batters.
Definitely,
anyway.
100% without a doubt. Easily have this conversation with the bowler. Very difficult with batters.
So you're obviously a black cap and professional cricketer, and on the circuit, so to speak, playing T20 now. But what can you tell us a little bit about your journey? Just a snapshot.
Well, probably sort of back at those stages, I was just a kid who loved cricket, like most kids, and played with my mates, which is still a big part of my journey now. But I had a bigger brother, and he was 4 years older than me. So from a development point of view, I was always a lot smaller. But he was very good to me growing up. He would always invite me to play with him and his mates. So I felt like my skills at the time, I didn't really recognize what was going on. I just thought I was terrible because everyone was bigger than me. But I reckon it helped with my development a bit. And then over the years, I just wanted to be better than my brother. He was a very good sportsman, still is a very good sportsman, and Auckland rep, New Zealand rep in football. And so the whole time I was always a little bit in his shadow, as most young brothers are in a way.
Yeah.
So forever I was just trying to be better than him. And then it kind of took me to grammar, and then probably at Auckland Grammar was the first place I recognised that I was decent at cricket.
And so what was that first moment when you I guess you realised you were decent? Like, was there a sort of a little bit of an aha? Now I get it. Now I am good.
I think through the age groups, I was my old man coached me throughout, and I've never got player of the day because I was the coach's son. But then got player of the year, and I suppose I thought I was decent at that time. But at grammar, off the back of my bro's rep, actually, I got asked to trial in the first trial net, and then at fourth form I made first 11.
Yeah.
So maybe at that stage, that's quite a young time to make a grammar first 11. Again, I thought I was no good, wasn't going to play at that level. But my second game played against Tim Southey. He was seventh form, and he was a big, proper school bully at the time. So I went from being that young kid playing against my brother, and then all of a sudden I was doing it, with guys the same age.
One of the guys who organised that photo is a good friend of mine, Mark Summich, and his son was in the photo with you, and has sadly passed away now. But one of the questions Mark said to ask you is he said you were a fantastic batter, and he said, "What's happened?"
Great question. At school, I was a batter. I played my seventh form. I had a stress fracture in my seventh form, so I played only as a batter. Actually got the batting trophy. So from that point probably to now, I don't know what happened. You just kind of find you probably have, well, actually, no, you batted a lot higher than me, but I found the higher I went, the less I batted.
Yeah.
And because I was fortunate to play in good teams, then your sort of 8, 9, 10 batters didn't bat much, which is a good thing, right, for the team, because it means the top order's doing the job. But through that, I kind of just batted less and less. I recognized, obviously bowling was my number one asset, but fielding was something I could work at and kind of be the second string to my bow. So not that I pulled back on batting, but I really focused hard on trying to be an elite fielder.
It is one of those things, isn't it? And for those who don't follow cricket, like you sort of bat a little bit like the position you're put in.
Yeah.
And it's a strange phenomenon, but it's very hard to come in at 8 or 9 or 10 and bat like a 4 or a 5. I don't know what it is. It's a real skill. I've always admired someone who comes in low in the order and scores a big score.
That's good, yeah.
It's very easy to, something in the back of your mind thinks, oh, the innings is nearly over, so I should bat like that.
Exactly, you're running out of time, so.
Yeah. Where did your ambition start to kick in versus just being good at school, and what age did you think, oh, I could do this?
Yeah, I mean, again, when I played for Auckland, we had like 5 black caps bowlers in the team. So when I was a first year contract, I just thought there'd be no chance I'd play for Auckland at that stage because we had gun players all around. But then you get opportunity, and then you have a whole lot of injuries, and you get a bit more serious and professional. And then I had a couple of good seasons where I managed to stay on the park a lot, took wickets. We won the Plunket Shield, and then got the call up to the black caps. But I think through the whole time I thought I was so far away from reaching black caps. I was like, nah, there's like so many other bowlers ahead of me who, I'd have to jump. But when I kind of made it and then played for a few years, and then certainly now reflecting back, I think like I try to tell a lot of the young players coming through, especially to Auckland, that they're actually not as far away as they think.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, of course you have, like, I'm sure you've heard it before, you can call it whatever you want, whether it's imposter syndrome, but basically you're in the deep end, right? And you're needing to perform. And I think through that period, there was a lot of development. But I was very lucky. I had good fast bowlers to teach me the ways. Tim Southey was, unbelievable to me. And Bolty as well, just talking through tactics and trying to learn quicker. So yeah, big learning curve, but no, it was a great time.
And so, now you've been, how many years have you been playing professionally now?
It's me 14th.
14th.
Wow,
yeah,
14th. Jesus.
Yeah. Makes you feel, but like I mean, that in itself is an achievement, isn't it? To stay on the park that long enough. You've said you've had a bunch of injuries, and all fast bowlers, we've all gone through it. But personally, I retired at 30 because I just had so many injuries. I was like I still wanted to play, but I couldn't deal with the recovery process anymore. It was so debilitating. And what I found was nobody can really appreciate what you're going through, not your teammates, not the media, not even your family, just to get on the park. And so you're sort of like, what becomes really tiring is sort of keeping all that at bay out of your head, but also just overcoming the injury. And then and then you've got to go and perform. So I found it just tiring, but like, how have you found that process? Like, and how have you dealt with it?
Were yours like recurring injuries? Were they like the same one kind of back to back, or were they different? Because that can be different, right?
Yeah, what got me in the end, I had a disc, which was the first one, and that was bad. So that was like 18 months out. And then I got back from that, and then I had stress fractures either side. And they were like only ever a couple of months out of the time. But you just put up with the pain. But eventually what happened is I started pulling groins and abdominals and all those types of things, and it was just so I was just moving around, and I was like, oh. And if I think back now, if I had taken some time out and got fit properly and had a proper break, but by that stage we weren't getting paid that much. It was just sort of like, what am I doing?
You can't just stop, can you? You need to earn a dollar. Yeah, I mean, that's like an excellent example, right? Because obviously the back's pretty important for fast bowling, and if you keep getting recurring back injuries, I've talked to mates who have had recurring stress fractures, and you can see the mental toll it takes on them just to have that trust to go back again.
Yeah.
I had that a lot early on, and then try to work on getting strong, especially the mid core. I'm fortunate I've got extremely thick legs, so they can bear a bit of weight and force. But again, it's just like, I didn't know at the time how much strength was required, and how much build up you needed to like maintain staying on the park. I think staying on the park to bowl one game, quick, sweet, you can get to that fitness level. But certainly now trying to play, I'm sort of away 9 months of the year playing, just trying to maintain that staying on the park. So yeah, it is tough. I certainly sympathise with guys who've got ongoing injuries in the same areas. Mine have moved around a little bit, and each time I've kind of found the reason why I had the injury so that I could work on that. And then, I mean, you don't never have injuries, but hopefully sort of mitigate it happening in the future. But it's just an ongoing process. But it's like, it sounds negative, but I love doing it, because if it means I can work hard to play in a game and change a game, then that's the work you're kind of prepared to do. And you just get to a point where you recognize it's just part of what you have to do. And we're in a different position now, of course, to when you were playing, where the finances and probably the support around it, and of course the sports medicine knowledge is, pretty elite in New Zealand.
And so you've started your own little app business to sort of support fast bowlers. Do you want to give us a quick synopsis on what that's about?
Yeah, well, it is based around injury prevention or mitigation. You can't say prevention, of course, because fast bowling, you get injured. But it is, I think, now being 34, thinking back to when I was 16, what was the information then that, I would have loved to have known, and where could I access that information, and then what were the steps I took over time. And I know 16-year-olds probably wouldn't do what a professional bowler does now, but if they get access to fast bowlers talking about their journey, and then also kind of working in with the tech that we're building out to monitor bowling loads, and bowling loads is a whole nother conversation. We could be here for another hour, but the basic knowledge, I feel like it's like, when you go to university and you do your 101, there should be a 101 for fast bowling, because I'm sure you've seen it, and I can imagine so many bowlers have talked to you for tips and sort of advice and mentorship. But there is things that we could teach that would stop a lot of the injuries. So
I think the other thing is, sometimes I think when anyone's, even if a coach is coaching you, or even if someone got to speak to you personally, about 10%, if they're lucky, of what you say goes in.
Yeah.
And so having a resource that you can go back to a number of times and actually get the full 100% of the message
for sure
is really useful.
For sure. And like, every bowler's different, right? Like, Malinga bowls different to me. So like, what he does, like, I wouldn't do. But, conversely, someone who's, 6'5", 6'7", Kyle James or something, his routine's different. So it would be nice in a perfect world, and what I'm trying to build is a community that you go to and you get access to that kind of information, have chats like this, and then also you get some support from an app point of view, where you can actually monitor how you're tracking, and then hopefully reduce chances of injury, and then bowl faster for longer.
So you talk about other fast bowlers. Was there one that you modelled yourself on more than others?
Bondi was pretty big growing up.
That was
pretty iconic. Yeah. So I think I look kind of back to then and watching him bowl quick, big in swingers, and I just wanted to bowl like him. And sweatbands. Bondi used to run sweatbands, and so I tried to look like him. But he was massive. He was just the kind of guy who'd come in. He had his troubles, obviously, injury-wise, but when you play a game, it was like, Bondi's going to win us today. It doesn't matter what we score, Bondi's going to come in and clean up Australia, whatever. And so for a young fast bowler looking at that, that was the peak,
Yeah, he had some pretty big moments there, didn't he, for a while? It was, and so what's the highest? What's the peak? What's...
Hopefully still to come. We have a World Cup in Feb. So I'm still very much pushing to that, but look, we've had some good times along the way. Probably one of the biggest peaks was that 2019 World Cup, and people always say, I don't want to talk to you about it. But like, for me, that was an unreal couple of months, because prior to that, I was sort of in and out of the side. I didn't really know my place. I was still trying to find my feet. And then I went to that tournament, and things, for whatever reason, clicked, got a bit of luck, got a few wickets, and then the team just got on this absolute roll. And obviously it's a great story, and we didn't quite, whatever happened at the end of the book wasn't perfect, but at the same time, like, that group of players still has a pretty tight bond.
It's a pretty good story still, right?
Yeah.
And we all know what happened in the end, but we took the ride with you, and it was pretty magnificent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, what about some of the sacrifices you've made? Like, this is ceremony is everything. So we've got all of the parts to do anything well. There's sacrifice, and there's discipline, and ritual and routine and all of that sort of stuff. But what's the tougher parts of being a professional cricketer? You said you're away for 9 months. There must be some parts which are not as glamorous as it seems.
Look, there are tough parts. There's expectation, which is normally you put on yourself, but it does come from outside sort of sources. Franchise cricket's very transactional versus playing for New Zealand. You kind of rock up to a tournament. I've had good tournaments, I've been traded. I've had bad tournaments, and I've been flicked. So not always does playing well equal you stay with the side. But then, you do a full circle sometimes and end up back with that same franchise. So there's that element too, trying not to take that too personally. But yeah, as you mentioned, the time away, I think I've missed a lot of weddings. I've missed funerals, which were probably tougher. I've missed birthday parties. So you miss a lot, which people don't often talk about. But at the same time, I play cricket for a job. So I'm very fortunate that I've got a very supportive family that have supported me the whole way. I think probably more recent times, they're probably like, okay, cool, you've had your fun now. Let's come back and hang out in New Zealand. But at the same time, I'm like, come to Sydney. So my parents came over last year. I'm hoping they'll come back this year. And so, yeah, there's that. And of course, the wife, she's great. She's from sport. She was physio for the men's Black Sticks. So for a couple of years, we were kind of ships in the night.
Yeah.
But also cool, I had a time where I went to Poland because it was the only time I could see her. So I spent about 3 or 4 weeks bowling in Poland, getting ready for the World Cup in 2024.
Where do you bowl in Poland?
Literally on just a field, just into a net. It was quite funny, like, now that I think back, that was my World Cup prep. But I'd played a whole lot of IPL, so it was like 3 weeks where it was probably a good thing just to get away from the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my prep before the West Indies World Cup.
Awesome.
So yeah, there are sacrifices, but they understand, and I wouldn't be able to do it without that support behind them. I would have probably pulled pin if it was harder, but having them behind me is massive.
It's probably, is it right to say it's probably lonelier when you're younger and you're sort of striving to make it? Because it is what a lot of people don't. You're not necessarily on tour with your mates. You have mates within any team, but it's still a competitive environment. So even within your mates, you're competing for a spot.
For sure.
So you've sort of got to keep a certain sort of presence about yourself, which doesn't help if you're not feeling perfect or you just want to have a proper conversation. And did you find, is that...
That's 100% right. Like, and you're kind of on all the time, right? Because you go for a job, you go to work 8 hours, and then you can go home and you can be comfortable being yourself. But when you're on tour, you have breakfast, lunch, dinner, you do all your social activities with the teammates. And as you said, normally with New Zealand, you end up becoming good mates with them. But at the start, you're sort of trying to be liked, which is kind of like, quite schoolboy in a way. You're like trying to crack jokes that they maybe laugh at, and you're like, oh yes, they actually like me. And that same thing kind of happens franchise teams. You turn up there and you might crack a joke, but now I've found that I've played quite a lot, that I have mates in each team, and I think it's good for my development. I'm actually pretty introverted. My bro was pretty good about taking me out and trying to socialize me, but I'm very happy being on my own and being quiet. But cricket, certainly this career has taught me how to have conversations and try to connect with people, which I think, reflecting back, I probably remember more the connections and like the stories off field than the actual games themselves.
There's no magic formula, isn't it? Performance helps, doesn't it? If you perform, everyone
likes you.
Everyone likes you a bit more, and they give you a little bit more breathing space. But it's like you've still got to be part of the culture and part of it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you look back and you realize you're there, but you didn't feel like you got there. You can't tell when you got there. The development as a cricketer, you have to develop your mental side. It's one of the most mentally, challenging games. So, do you have, like one of your old teammates from grammar? He suggested that you were quite fiery as a young man.
Nah, not me.
And that might boil over from time to time, which I can appreciate.
Love that.
But he shall remain nameless. But he suggested that actually he doesn't see any of that person anymore. So I thought that was really interesting, because I sort of have this early memories of you being quite fiery as well. And you're still fast, you're still furious, people hate facing you, but you do seem to have a calmness come over you. Is that something you worked on, or do you think that's just evolved naturally?
Might be maturing, maybe, you know, like work with some teenage boys and they're like pretty fiery and they get frustrated quick, right? And so they don't really know how to deal with failure at the time, and I didn't either. You know, typical failure is like you bowl a good ball, they nick off, drop catch, and you get angry because that could have made your day, and then you don't know how to deal with it because it was your mate who dropped the catch, but he shouldn't have. So then how do you deal with that frustration? Well, I'll take it out on the batter because he should be out. Yeah. So then that's probably what what Schmosh was alluding to. But I think it's just, you know, now that I'm 34, I'm a bit older and have nephews, and I see that sort of testosterone flowing, and it's probably part of me as a kid. I was just trying to deal with emotions through the time. And then as you get older, you get a bit more self-confident probably and a bit more comfortable with your abilities. People talk a lot about the work you do off the park that kind of helps you on the park. So if I'm prepared to play the game, then I probably won't get angry when things don't go my way. But I don't think it happened overnight. It took time. It took a lot of failure. And as I said, it's humbling. Cricket's a very humbling sport. You can't be too arrogant all the time because Mother Cricket, she's after you.
And so what about your mental state, you know, as you've developed? Like, you're a confident man now. You've got, you know, you've done all of these things. But how much did, you know, of the mental side did you work on? Has it been a big part of your progress, just generally?
It's a huge part. I mean, people can work in different ways about it. As I said, I'm kind of a guy who, if I have a problem, I tend to go into my room and I need to digest and work it out myself. Other people need to talk to someone about that. And, you know, I think through my career, I had times where I could deal with it myself. And other times I needed to sort of speak to a sports psych or any kind of psych to try to work out why, you know, my preparation or my nervousness or anxiety, which is good, why those things were kind of building up. So, you know, it's similar to your skill set. It's just another part of your arsenal. And as you know, the top athletes or the top people in anything that they do, that mental skill that they have is an asset of theirs, and the ability, I guess, to stay cool and make a decision that's rational in a way, or makes sense, and not kind of just because something bad happens that you kind of lose the plot. That's a skill, and it's something you can work on as well.
I just use ChatGPT these days. He or she's my best friend. Just even whether it's a sports psych or it's a mate or it's a mentor or whatever, or ChatGPT.
Yeah.
All they're really doing, if they're doing a good job, is letting you let out what the issue is, and then creating an echo chamber so that you can, or giving some balance so that you can end up resolving it yourself. They can't resolve it for you.
For sure.
They can only create the space for you to do it yourself, right?
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, I probably use the wife too much for that now, but you know, again, she's good for that. She kind of is honest in her feedback. Sometimes you're overreacting, sometimes no, it actually needs some attention, but it is important to have those people. But also when, you know, as I sort of said, I'm on tour a lot by myself, so and I'm in a team, I don't know anyone, so you need to also have, you know, the ability to have a think and deal with it yourself. Or use ChatGPT.
Yeah. So we'll cut that bit out. That's why I give my secrets away. You had some triumphs? It must have been a disaster.
Yeah. Early disaster was my first stress fracture. I was at an all-time high. I was Grammar first 11 captain, couldn't do anything wrong. Auckland 19s, you know, fast bowler, you know, I felt I was invincible. Was starting to really feel like, oh, I'm good at this. And then I was at a U19 bowling camp in Auckland at Eden Park indoors, and we won't go into detail, but bowling indoors is dangerous just because of concrete floors being quite tough on the body. And I got asked in the game, the coach won't be named, but I got asked to bowl for an hour straight because he wanted to see if I was fit enough to play. So I bowled full tilt for an hour straight indoors, and then 3 weeks later, stress fracture, and that was my season done. No 19s World Cup, set me back. Whatever, it might not have set me back, it might have kickstarted me, and made me work hard and recognize that I really wanted to be a cricketer, but at the time it was disaster for sure.
Yeah. And so and so did that make you stronger? There's, the old saying, what doesn't kill me makes you stronger. I mean, presumably it did.
Yeah. I mean, my old man was very good, and he was brutally honest in a lot of ways, but he said, you've got 2 options here. You can either give up cricket, and he's like, if you want to do that, sweet. Both my parents were very much like that. They said, if you want to give up, sweet, do something else. But if you want to do this, then you're going to have to work for it. And so I think at that time, I wanted to do it, and I thought, now that I look back, it's good parenting, because I was never going to give it up because I loved it. So the next thing was to do the work and come back, and had a few years of injuries. I mean, it happens when you're young, but eventually it got me to here, I guess.
And it's hard to know at the time, but no one cares about an under-19 tour.
Nah.
The thing that matters, the thing that ultimately is making it, is that senior team and that higher stage. All of those things are wonderful to do, and they're stepping stones. But in the end, that, as you say, it could have been a blessing. Get actually this strong, do all that work at a crucial time, and build up the strength and resilience. But
I don't know if you've found that, but when I've had those proper lows, it seems like around the corner is quite a big high.
Yes.
So I don't know if you've found that through your career or business career as well, but now I'm thinking, if I have a real low, then something must come good soon.
Well, I always watch one of those main freight trucks going around, and the only thing that's constant is change, and what however good or bad your day is, the only thing that you can guarantee is that change. Tomorrow will be different.
Yeah.
And I sort of feel like, I always combine that with the only way out is through, right? It's like when you're having a bad time, it's like the only way you can get through it is to get through, and on the other side of that is good times by it's just the virtue of it. But those are the skill sets that I think in the sport you require, but after sport I've found are so important, because not only for business but just for life generally. One of the hardest things, and you're yet to go through this, is when you give up sport and then you have to go to the next stage, and that's a hard. That, I don't want to scare you off, but that's a process.
Mate, I've heard it a lot recently. Must be getting old.
That's a process, but the great thing is you can fall back on all of these, processes and systems and all the things you've learned, and that's what gets you through ultimately. Because when the time comes, you'll be ready, but about 18 months after that, you forget that you were ready.
Yeah, true.
So anyway, we won't dwell on that because you've got many years left. Okay, so best advice that you've ever received?
The word compound interest sounds quite lame, but the principle of it's pretty amazing, and it's quite calming. And when I sort of was told about that, in a way my parents kind of instilled that a little bit, but just the ability to every day just get 1% better, I've now definitely reaped the rewards of that. So even though it's tough for a young kid to be like, I think I'm getting 1% better, and they can't see that kind of increase, the fact that they're doing something every day just to get a little bit better, they'll see rewards in a year, and then they'll be away, and they won't reflect back on, how far they've come. So I really encourage everything that I do when I talk to kids, just do one thing each day that might make you a better cricketer, and that in a habitual way will then lead you to do another thing that maybe makes you 1% better. And then after a year's time, you look back and you're like, well, I've come so far, but you're not making these huge jumps that you think you have to make, like trying to make the New Zealand 19s at 15, it seems such a huge jump. But whereas you can work day to day, and then when you do have the successes, make sure you have a look back and reflect about, where you've come from.
Awesome. Yeah, compounding interest applying to everyday life. I like it. That's a great piece of advice, though. And it's really hard for a young person, or any person really, to apply that. But you have to remind yourself, because it's just constant improvement, isn't it? Yeah, that's awesome. We call this ceremony is everything. What does that saying suggest or mean to you, if anything?
I I mean, I feel like within the sports space, ceremony is everything. It's like almost in my mind makes the game feel like everything. But I think if I then actually adjusted that slightly and thought about the Black Caps and the success that we had with that team, we were always talking about team first. And in a way, I guess you could change ceremony into everything there. And that team was so great, and it still is so great. Obviously, I'm not in it as much as I used to be, but the fact that they had that team first mentality meant that individual success didn't really matter. It was the team that did. So I guess that's the only way I can try to off the cuff sort of think of a way. But yeah, that also helped a lot of players, I think, through that time, because rather than worrying that they got no runs or no wickets and had a bad day, they actually started celebrating their mate's success. And then when it was their day, the whole team was celebrating their success. And that built the team. And we ended up being a team where we didn't have any of the, great names per se, even though they were unbelievable players. But every day I knew playing the Black Caps, you were going to have a tough day playing us.
Yeah. And yeah, that celebration of other people's successes. And I think that's the thing that we try to get across. Like, ceremony is just the thing that you put into it. And in a team environment, if you're celebrating people's successes, that if you don't celebrate, it's like reminding yourself you've had a great day or you've made those improvements. If you don't add that ceremony, life's just that little less special, or
true.
a team's a little less tight,
Definitely.
And so the ceremony is the special sauce, is what. Our moisturizer is called Game Face. The reason for that is, like, in sport, I always found that you either, whatever you call it, white line fever or putting your game face on, but getting yourself up for that big performance. What's your secret to that? Have you got a process or anything that you can explain how you do that, or do you just go out and play?
Oh, look, different now to when I started, right? Like, especially playing in India where there's 80,000 and it's like deafening. Like, we would struggle to have this conversation mid-game kind of thing. So that raises your anxiety levels a lot, and then it's a tough place to bowl. It's not impossible, but it is challenging. So then your room for error is small. So it took a lot of time to work out how to deal with a lot of failure really quickly. And also in India, they're fantastic fans of the game, but they will ride the wave. So if you have a good day, you are God's gift to cricket. If you have a bad day, you're like out the back, which New Zealand's not like that. I think you get a bit of rope in New Zealand because, it's just our culture. So it is different like that. But
I think in New Zealand, they just say it behind your back.
well, yeah, I can deal with it. That's better.
As long as you don't hear it.
Yeah, as long as they don't send it to me. But no, I think over time you develop a bit of like probably a game face of sorts where you kind of, I don't know, I feel like a lot of athletes put on a persona. I don't think I necessarily do that, but I just enjoy the moment rather than being kind of scared of playing in front of those people, and also recognizing, like, no one's really watching you. Like, I've watched cricket games and not noticed loads, so no one's really watching everything you do.
Yeah, I think a good thing to remember, the only people who really care are your mum and dad and your wife and your brother, It's a good thing to remind yourself of. Rituals, any special rituals that you do? We're all about rituals in here, making sure you put your game face on and do all those types of things. But what about you? Just generally in life, or with grooming, or with sport, anything that you religiously do that's for you?
I do moisturize, believe it or not. My missus says that I have dry skin, but I do moisturize, and I think it's keeping me young.
Yes, it is. Handsome man.
So thank you, T&D. But yeah, look, I similar back to what we were talking about, the 1%ers, I just try to do something every day, and it does change. Some days it might be yoga, some days it might be stretching, some days it might just be going for a walk. We've got a dog now, so it's a bit easier to do that, but it's amazing how just sort of taking yourself out of a stuffy space, whatever that space might be, and just having some time to think. I don't listen to music or just, laugh at my dog doing silly things. Those kind of things keep me, in a way, grounded, that then when I go back, I feel refreshed and can kick on with whatever's next.
But what about just at the top of your run? Like, I could never play T20. Like, my head would have exploded. Just getting hit for 6 and then having to come back and bowl under that sort of pressure. What about just your process at the top of your run to crystallize your mind? Like, Is there a breathing or anything, or a word or anything that you do, or is it just how do you process those moments, those big
I
moments?
tried a lot. Early on, I tried the shoe tie when things were going bad. I tried the breathing. Definitely breathing helps with just lowering a little bit of anxiety when things are, because you just, when you're nervous and stuff, you kind of get short of breath and it makes things worse. But I think it's difficult because you can't go from, in my experience, and I can only talk on my experience, you can't go from playing in front of 1,000 people to 50,000 people and expect to kind of play the same. But also, once you've had the experience, you know it, and then you can work from there. And I don't necessarily have anything specific. Definitely breathing beforehand. I went through a phase of meditation, super helpful just generally in life. So sometimes if I'm feeling a little bit stressed, we all kind of get that feeling, then I'll do a bit. But I think just enjoying what I do. The older I've got, the more I've recognized like this is a lot of people's dreams, and I love fast bowling, and I'll happily talk about it all day long to anyone who wants to listen or ask questions, or I'll ask every question under the sun too. So I think I know, sort of reflect back and just think this is epic, and cricket's just on the up. So I want to be on that journey as well.
One of the things in my experience, I've bowled the last over in a match and been hit for 6 off the last ball to lose, but then I've also bowled that over and won it. And the difference between the two, if I reflect back, is when I've done it and won the game, I've been clear, I've been in the zone. It's like I knew what I was going to bowl and I bowled it. And when I failed, there was no thought. It was like I was just running in without a plan. And I hadn't taken stock of it. And lots of things feed into that. But have you experienced either of those ends? Have you been in the zone, for example, where it's just crystal clear?
For sure, yeah. It's like they talk. You don't really know you're in it until you reflect back on it, right? Like in the moment, you just think it's normal, but then you reflect back on the day and you're like, wow, I was just like in flow today.
Can you explain that feeling?
It's a clear feeling. I think you can only kind of compare the two. So when you're not in flow, you get a lot of demons in your mind saying, you have to bowl a Yorkie here, otherwise you're going for 6, or don't mess up. I was going to swear then. Don't mess up, but like, don't fail now because you're going to let your team down. And I failed loads of times, like too many to count, and then you get all sorts of messages come your way, and then the next game you succeed in the moment, and that's crazy. The messages change again. So it only comes with an experience. The thing is, in cricket, you're going to fail more than you succeed. So you can't always look at outcomes. It's very difficult, especially on the way up, right? Because outcomes are what get you to the next level. But the reality is you can only focus on the process you're going through or the method you're trying to do. And if you bowled today the way that you were trying to bowl and your thought process was clear and you made good decisions, you're going to have days where you get bad luck. Like I've bowled so many games where I've bowled terrible and got like wickets, and I'm like, can't believe it. I'm sure you're the same. And then I bowled other days where I'm like, I am the best bowler in the ground today, and I've got carted. So I don't know how you can explain that. Like it just happens.
Yeah, it does. You're right. I had a moment in my career where early on I had a big game. And it was sort of like, I explain it to people. There's a great Charlie Brown quote, which is, the comic strip. And it's like, there's no heavier burden in the world than a great potential. And I had this big game where I got all these wickets, and it was like, but the thing about that quote is the burden was my own. It wasn't what everyone had put on me. It was what I'd unwittingly or unknowingly put upon myself.
100%.
And so when I had that game, it was like there's two things that happened. A, it was like a relief. It was like this weight had been lifted off my shoulders. But secondly, I had a new base level. It was like I sort of never dropped below a certain level again. Is that an experience that you've had? Have you had either?
Sure. Man, there's like, you talk to any player, they would have had that exact thing. And the reason you continue to get better is like because you want to reach the top. But very rarely do you think back a year ago and go, oh, what was I doing last year? Like, and then how good or bad you were back then. So, older, wiser, maybe I am now, but certainly I love working with younger bowlers. And, one of our young bowlers at Auckland just had a big hamstring injury. And he's been working all off season to get stronger, faster, and fitter. And he was bowling like 10K quicker. and then he just tore his hamstring big. And so he's gutted, right? But then if he thinks about it, like, yeah, it's bad, but he's generated so much more power this time.
Yeah.
You know, he'll be able to do the work, you know, muscles recover, but the work he's done, he's actually put his body under that much more stress, and he's come so far in a short period of time that once he rehabs, he'll be stronger for it, and then he'll go again. But he probably was thinking, oh, this is, you know, I'm injured at the start of the season, this is my opportunity, and now I don't have a chance. But all the coaches are like, he's bowling 10Ks quicker than last year. Like, as soon as he's fit, we need to get him playing. And so I think, as you were saying, the expectation on you is like in your mind, and you think you've failed or whatever, but reality is like that's not the case.
So you're 34, you're cruising around the world being a gun for hire, the demon fast bowler, everyone wants you, but the Black Caps are still alive and beckoning. So how does this play out for you from here? What's your ambition over the next 4 years, say?
4 years, yeah, 1 year at a time is how I would answer that question. But no, look, I still think there's more in the tank. You know, what you sort of mentioned before around the energy to keep doing the rehab. I've just come off 8 weeks, and I've still got 4 more weeks of building back up to playing. It's a long time out of the game, but I'm still hungry. I still want to perform, and we've come close in World Cups. I want to win a World Cup. So February is our next opportunity. And yeah, hopefully in the mix there. I'm not sure. Selections, you know, these are the things you can't control. But from my point of view, if I keep putting my hand up, then hopefully I'm there. So that's the next step. I'm very much like I just play the cards that are in front of me. The future takes care of itself, and, you know, I'll hopefully keep playing as long as I can. But I just try to focus on next tournament. Obviously try to work with 3 months ahead and then go from there.
What would you like to be remembered for? What would you like a fan to have thought, or how would you like them to describe you at the end of it?
Oh, it's a good question. I mean, it's hard to know what the fans would think of you. I like to think that I tried hard every game, but probably when you look at retirement, you probably think, you know, as I'm sure you sort of found, like, how do your teammates think of you? And we've had some retirees with the Black Caps, and a lot of the lads I played with, you know, have such great reps that if I saw them at a pub or at the cafe, I would immediately go up and have a coffee with them. And I would hope when I retire that teammates I played with would do the same thing because they want to catch up. So yeah, there's obviously I want the fans to love me, but you know, just because of what I did. But I think what's probably more important to me is the people I played with, and I'm sure I'll rub shoulders with them a lot. Yeah,
mate, that's a great answer, and I think that answer the fans will love you for. Hey, it's been awesome to speak to you. You're a star, and I think the thing that I've got that's come through, you're giving back, you know, and your connection to the game. That's not always the case with players. A lot of respect for you for giving back. Cheers, and being connected to the younger guys coming through. So well done on that. Thanks for supporting TND all the years. The skin is looking good, I would say that. But look, man, we're big fans. Love the way you attack the game. You will be remembered as someone who gave it all. and you know, just keep up the good work and stay fit.
Cheers, bro.
And there's lots more in the tank.
Well, if not, I'll come and get all the job here.
Cheers, bro. See ya.